Welcome back to Reflect Politics. My name is Brendan Plank. Democratic, adumbrative Jasmine Crockett fabricated an affecting appeal to Republicans in Congress today to appearance, some appropriateness afterwards. An Isobetter murdered a Minnesota woman, and of course, Jasmine Crockett's amuse fell on deafened ears. Oh yes, Mr. Chad asked to bang the aftermost words. Affable, affable ladies recognized. Affable, affable ladies recognized. It is so adamantine to sit actualities sometimes, because I didn't appear to Congress to address laws or to do things that are affliction people. I'm aloof allurement if there's any appropriateness or affection or adventuresomeness on that ancillary of the aisle, the actuality that a woman was killed. She was attempt in her arch, and y'all are assuming like annihilation happened. I bethink back Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you bethink what our acknowledgement was? Our acknowledgement wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it accept because you accept a badge? Because the aftermost time I checked, allegedly no one is aloft the law. Can y'all not aloof accept a little bit of adventuresomeness in humanity? A child, the adolescent, has absent her mom and y'all appetite to pretend, snorts, that it is okay. I am allurement if there is anyone that will angle for the actual bodies that adopted us and beatific us to Congress. You acquaint us things like, well, the immigrants are bad, and so we gotta get all these bills because the immigrants are the ones that are causing the harm. They're bringing the crime. The ambassador of Minneapolis told y'all to get the out. Yet y'all are the ones. It is this administering that is bringing abomination to the streets. That's what's happening. It's a third adventure area somebody has alone an F-bomb in this committee, including the video. I'm sorry. Including the video that we had to watch early. Are your angel Ariel okay? Is it profanity, princess, about the fact that a woman represents the affable lady? Are we behind your angel ears? All associates will maybe some of the kids out there. Mr. Chairman, it is the affable lady. They're killing them. It is the affable lady's time. Let's let her time. It is the affable lady's time. Would you stop the alarm for a moment? Okay, and I'll restore that. The armchair will advise all associates that the actuality authoritative of the time is not to be foolishly interrupted. We would added advise that whenever accessible to accurate the abounding acceptation of something, it be done so afterwards and errant that may be abhorrent to bodies actuality in the admirers, or those who watch us on television. I accept that a deuce at times is essential, but I would advise anybody that it has been the convenience of this board for the abounding years I've been actuality, to use such things as F-bomb and adjustment to get the bulletin out afterwards. Absolutely application, the word. Notwithstanding that, the affable lady, if will be accustomed for this time added and added 20 seconds, the affable adult may continue. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Long adventure short. We are sitting in attorneys and no one on that ancillary of the alley seems to affliction that this accurate actuality, whose name we don't apperceive at this point, became the judge, jury, and executioner. I don't apperceive how you above board that. And afresh, we're sitting actuality absolutely in markup for a bond funds bill. Back I aboriginal ran for office. It was in the bosom of yet addition, annihilation by law administration in Minneapolis. At that time it was George Floyd. I bethink alive as a pro bono benedictus advocate to advise protesters that were actuality arrested. There were added than 600 protesters that were arrested in Dallas. There were churches that came calm to accomplish abiding, that there were bond funds. There were non-profit organizations, and to explain how it works for bond back, we're in attorneys and we're autographed the laws. And some bodies may not accept this, but those bond funds, those non-profit organizations are not the ones that actuate whether or not somebody gets bail. What they do is they advise out poor people, which I apperceive y'all are not absorbed in either. But they advise out bodies that aren't affluent and acclaimed and accept bottomless amounts of money like all of the Epstein defendants who somehow y'all can't acquisition alike admitting y'all went and got Maduro. But it helps out those bodies to be able to get out of jail. Abounding of those bodies that if they absorb aloof a brace of canicule in Bastille, will fresh be advanced into beeline up abjection, because they will lose everything. Why it is that you appetite to criminalize bodies such as churches that are aggravating to advise the poor, because they accept what the Bible says, and they don't aloof say that they accept it, or say that they adulation Jesus, but they adjudge that they absolutely put it into works, because acceptance afterwards works is dead. That is wrong too. And I'm actuality to acquaint you that there's activity to be a lot of nonprofit organizations that are activity to footfall up in this moment because there are activity to be protests about this. Absolute country, because of the accompaniment accustomed beheading that we all saw disentangle, unless there is some affectionate of amends that takes abode and we get the name of that administrator. And that administrator is prosecuted. So I ask that law administration we accept blank over them. I am the blank ranker. Let's go ahead. In fact, I accomplish a motion that we accept audition in the blank subcommittee as it relates to this accurate affair and what took place. Tree. The affable adult was not accustomed for purposes of motions. The does anyone abroad seek recognition? Seeing no others, the catechism now occurs on the acceptance of the alteration in the attributes of the substitute. This will be followed anon by a vote on advertisement the bill. All those in favor of the alteration in the attributes of acting say aye. Id. Any opposed? Daralisa. The administrator of the Attorneys Committee's acknowledgement to Jasmine Crockett tells you aggregate. You charge to apperceive about the Republican affair and aloof how little affinity they accept. Afterwards, she calls for audition to investigate the contest that took abode in Minnesota and that ICE agent, the annihilation of that poor woman. His acknowledgement is, you don't accept the time, the ability to accomplish that call, so we're aloof activity to move on. Showing aloof no affinity for Jasmine Crockett's words and the events, the adverse contest that took place. Addition adumbration of aloof how apathetic the Republican affair is, was that moment area a Republican adumbrative who was off screen. I don't perceive who it was, complained about Jasmine Crockett. Commendation Jacob Frey, the Minneapolis mayor who told ICE agents to get the F out of his city, and that's a huge botheration for Republicans. The F word and the kids watching, not the kid who was orphaned because of their abutment for the tyrant and the monster Donald Trump and these ICE agents. That's what Republicans accept a botheration with back Democrats seduce mayors and use the F word. How pathetic, how atrocious are these people? Of course, Jasmine Crockett's calls for appropriateness from Republicans' abatement on deafened Ariel, because, and you heard it back, Jasmine Crockett was plea argumentation for them to accept some affinity for their voters. Republicans don't accept affinity for their voters. They don't affliction about their voters. They affliction about Donald Trump and their pocketbooks and their attack donations from their accumulated backers. That's who the Republican affair is. They accumulate their voters in the aphotic day afterwards day. They lie to their voters day afterwards day so that they can abide to accept power. They accept no empathy. They accept no decency. That's who the Republican affair is. And so Jasmine Crockett, Eric Swalwell, Jared Moskowitz, all bodies who I accept fabricated videos of today, you can watch them. I'll articulation them bottom word below. These assembly charge to abide to allege out to accession their voices, and we charge to abide to advance their letters and advance their choir as far as advanced as possible. That's why I'm accomplishing this. That's why you're here. Let's accumulate that drive activity through these midterm elections, because that's the alone way that we're activity to accept accountability for the accomplishments of ICE admiral like this, and the lies through Kristi Noem and Donald Trump. Let's vote them out. Let's authority investigations, and let's acknowledgement our country to some akin of, normally, back it comes to our democracy. If you exceed with that message, if you exceed with Jasmine Crockett here, hit that like button, hit that allotment button, and be abiding to subscribe to Reflect Politics so you get my approaching videos delivered beeline to you. Once again, my name is Brendan Plank. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the abutting video.